Welcome back to Rüniverse. I'm Andrew, and today I'm playing Rüniverse. So, unless you've been watching my channel for quite a while, you might not realize that this channel was originally created to make videos for the trading card game that I created called Rüniverse. Now, it's been a while since I moved away from the game and working on it actively. Instead, I've been putting up videos for whatever games I find interesting. However, the game continues to be available for purchase at thegamecrafter.com via print on demand, and they are currently running a HTCG sale, stands for Homemade Trading Card Games. So Rüniverse is among the products that are discounted right now, but I'm planning to put this video up on Friday and the sale ends on Sunday. So it's a pretty short sale. So if you haven't already checked it out, now would be the time. I'll have a link in the description, but I figured it'd be a good opportunity to revisit it with a playthrough. So this is my binder of my Rüniverse collection. I have all the cards, but some of them I might not have enough of, and so they're currently in decks that I've put together. But you can see, get an idea for what all the cards look like. There are 8 colors in the game, and I'm going to be playing with obviously 2 of those colors using a booster deck sealed format. So I've got 2 booster deck packs, which look like booster packs, but I call them booster deck packs because each pack contains 18 cards, and those 18 cards can be combined with the basic 12 mages of the matching facet, as well as the 10 basic dream deck cards of that facet. And all of that, you don't get a foil wrapped pack, but you get the equivalent randomized cards plus the fixed cards for 2 of the facets or colors if you get a 2-player starter set. I'm not showing a 2-player starter set here because I've opened all mine, but I have the cards here. These are the mages for the green Emry facet, and I also have Thyst. We'll look at more of those in a minute. But then you can just combine the packs, replace the randomized 18 cards from your starter. You've got a whole new sealed starter deck, which is why I call them booster deck packs. This is the Deluxe 8 starter set. This contains the equivalent of all 4 2-player starter sets. I actually don't remember if this is on sale, but it comes with a really nice box. So in addition to getting all 4 2-player starters, which means you get all 8 facets, you get these dividers, you get some star variant tokens. So here's what a normal token would look like, as well as on the back, it's going to have another one of the tokens in the game. But if you get the Deluxe 8 starter, you'll have a star variant version of that. And on the back, it shows that it's a dedicated card back for that token. So you get all the tokens in star variant in the Deluxe 8. I would say the main draw is the box, but it is pricey, and GameCrafter has upped their prices over the last couple of years. So I'll admit it's not the most accessible, but a 2-player starter is still under 30, and that's enough for 2 players to play. So before I start opening packs, we'll do a basic rundown of what I have. So I showed you these are the Emry mages. These are kind of like the basic resource of the game, but they're also the characters who are kind of acting out the game. So here's a close-up of one for example. Here's Ryona. You can see she has the animal focus and the Emry gift, and those are her 2 main features, other than just the fact that she is one Emry mage, meaning green. Every mage can cast cards of their own facet plus the 2 adjacent facets according to the Rüniverse color wheel, which you can kind of see the different symbols or the runes around this circle, even though that doesn't really indicate the colors necessarily. But basically green is next to yellow green as well as turquoise. So yellow green, green, turquoise, those 3 facet symbols are at the top to remind you she can play cards of any of those colors. And in fact, an Emry booster deck pack can contain cards of those 3 colors. So it'll be primarily Emry cards, but you'll also get some Sphene and Quam cards mixed in sometimes, not always. But that's not a problem because all of your mages will be able to evoke all of those cards. You've also, of course, got the purple mages here because I'm going to do a green versus purple matchup. This is the Thyst facet. Here's a sample Thyst mage. So she has the Storm Focus, the Draw Gift, and she is Thyst. This is adjacent to both blue and red, Saf and Ruby. So she'll be able to play those 3 cards, or 3 colors, and those 3 colors can appear in that pack. These are empty sleeves, and just in case you're curious, these are Dragon Shield dual matte sleeves, so black on the inside and colored on the outside. And the other 2 piles are the starting dream deck. So in Rüniverse, you have a 10-card dream deck that you can cast from over the course of the game. The starting deck is always fixed, and they have this special icon in the bottom right corner to remind you that this goes back into your dream deck at the end of the game. But if you're building your own deck, you can build any 10 cards you want, or I don't even think you don't have to be limited to 10, but you'll have to figure out a different way to remember which cards were your dream deck cards and otherwise when you go back to reset your deck at the end of the game. Got the Thyst starting dream deck as well, of course. There are these 4 neutral cards that appear in every starting dream deck. That's enough intro. Let's do a couple pack openings and then we can play. So these are packs I've had around for a while, just waiting for just such an occasion. So let's see. Also, I mentioned the star variants earlier. That was kind of my way to make the equivalent of foil cards, like cards that can randomly appear that are nicer versions. So any card can appear as a star variant. It doesn't do anything mechanically different. It just has that rainbow sparkly look to it. Then later, the Game Crafter did add foil cards, but they can't really be easily mixed in to a regular pack without making the regular pack cost an exorbitant amount of money. So I created a pack that contains, I think, 72 cards, and 18 of them are foil. And that comes in kind of a weird folding hook box, and that is on sale. That is part of the sale. So you can get foils in that way. In fact, here's a sample of a card you could get. Here's a star variant foil card. So in that fancy pack I was just talking about, my collector booster, I forget what I called it, but you could get a star variant foil rare like this one. Anyway, let's look at the cards I actually got. We actually start with the rare, so they're in completely random order. There's no way to like flip a couple to the back or anything. Every pack has 3 rares in it, and one of them happens to be right here on top. So Suidoom costs 3. It's a level 3 card, which means it also attacks and takes 3 damage to kill it. But except for that it has the strength 3 ability, means it, even though it only costs 3, it's going to fight as a level 6 creature. We have its little baby version, the Suiform Sprout, a common, same thing but for level 1 and then +1, so it's cost 1 but it fights as a level 2. Verdrak Adolescent, so here's a Sphene card, a yellow-green faction card. Costs 3, a level 3 card, but basically once per turn, on the turn starting after it's been in play, you get a little bug token, one of the tokens we looked at earlier. Another Sphene card. A removal spell costs 3. Slimiostasis banishes a creature, and then that creature will come back next turn. Another Sphene card, common Jeweled Boar for 2, but while attacking, it fights as though it, or deals damage as though it's level 4. Another Suiform Sprout. Ooh, a rare Worm Form. I think I have errated this card, but I want to play it as is, so I don't have to look it up. Plus, if you open this at home, you won't necessarily know that it got errated, so let's just play it as is. It's a very powerful card, costs 3, and it lets the mage attack for 6, which it normally doesn't do. Chlor Bunny is the middle evolution of that foil star variant I just showed you. It evolves from Filkit, and it can evolve into Banasum, but that text is on Banasum itself. It also has this regenerate aura ability, so even if it's not evolved, or if it doesn't evolve, it will still have this nice little ability. Oh, and there's the Filkit. Oh, that's nice. We got a little chain. We can evolve our Filkit into Chlor Bunny potentially, which is nice because Filkit has the evolutional lore ability that lets you draw an extra card when you do evolve it. Protector Wolf, very solid common. It costs 3, but it can cost 1 less if evoked by a mage with the animal focus. That happened to be one of the mages we looked at. And it is an extra guard, so I'm sure we'll see that come into play. Wild Call is a very strong uncommon. Lets you get a random wild summon token creature. Here's our first star variant. Actually, we went through a lot of cards without finding one. Not every pack has star variants, though. You never know. Egg of Burgeoning Vitality, level 0. But it can pair with an ally and they both get, or to give the ally +2 level. Another Worm Form. Ooh, this is going to be a spicy deck. That's all 3 rares. We got the Middle Boar, level 2, but it becomes level 4 while it's in play, and that's the uncommon version. A star variant version of the same thing. A third common, another Sphene card, Beetle, can't be chosen for opposing spells and effects, and another Protector Wolf. That's a very nice, solid little pack. Interesting, we didn't get any Qualm cards in that pack. Again, you can get green, turquoise, and yellow green, but we only got green and turquoise, or green and yellow green. Let's open up the Thyst. This can also have red and blue cards in it, in addition to purple, of course. Expect most of them are going to be purple. And first up, wow, another rare right on top, and this one's a star variant rare. A pretty powerful but situational card. It's actually broken, but only if you build around it significantly. Actually, I am working on a small expansion for the game, and one of the main holdups was this card's interaction with one of the cards in the expansion. But anyway, it lets you dream a card, and if you do, you can dream again over and over, as long as you can afford it. So again, could be strong, but it requires setup. Implin Chariot, pretty strong, level 2, gets to attack right away with the drive ability, and it can make a guard stop guarding, so it's extremely aggressive. Plathrus is a basic form, basically has a minor mill feature, or it can grow itself a little bit. Three-tailed fox makes your mage's spells that damage do more damage. The flare mote can do a little bit of damage and help you build up a flame counter theme if it's evoked by a fire focus mage. Got a star variant, Pupil of the Unbound, can attack unengaged mages, so it's a little bit more versatile when it comes to your attack phase. Elagast is cost 2 and it plays as a level 4, which is kind of the greens thing, so purple can't do it quite as well, which is why it has these ghostly features of not being able to hit mages and not being able to guard, but it also can't be attacked by creatures, which can be pretty good as well. Ooh, and we're pairing up. We got the worm form in green and fire form in red. This card is also quite strong. A mage gets to turn into their fire form, and those flame counters are definitely going to matter with fire form if you can build those up and make your fire form mage bigger. We got a Plesiok that evolves from the Plathras we saw. Man, I hope we get to see some evolution. That doesn't happen that much in the sealed decks. You generally have to build a deck around the evolution lines to get them to go off, but we got 2 basic plus middle form evolutions going on, so we'll see. And then it also has Ward. Can't be chosen for opposing spells and effects. We saw that on the Beetle. Aquatic Shaman costs 1, has Taunt, so it's an extra guard, and it takes 2 more damage to kill it on your opponent's turn. Egg of Ineffable Creativity lets you dream a card right away, which is pretty good. Another Pupil of the Unbound, but not a star variant. Spell Sprite. Once per turn, when that mage evokes a spell, she gets a face down Vim, which is like an extra life. Star variant, Implant Chariot. Ooh, a rare Eldritch Brain. This one is awkward to try to play with, but can be very strong. It's a little quirky, but it can kind of, if you can feed it your dreams, but it can also refresh your dream counter. Lizard Mote gets a little bit bigger if evoked by a lizard mage. A Gasling is a small ghost, and finally the Lurching Raptor, which has drive, so it can attack right away. And we did get a mix of red, blue, and purple. That's interesting. We actually got 2 cards from the blue evolution chain in a purple deck, so that is fun. But I'm going to get these sleeved up and set up, and then we can start playing. All right, so I'm going to have the Thyst purple player go first because the green Emry deck looked a bit stronger. So we'll start out by drawing 7 cards. And the first thing we do is check to make sure we have 2 to 5 mage cards. I've got 3. I don't have to show them to the opponent, but there's no opponent here, so I'm just checking on camera. You're not allowed to mulligan unless you have either too few or too many mages, which would be 0, 1, 6, or 7. So with 3, we have to keep, which I'm totally fine with here. And now that I've kept my hand, the first thing I'm going to do is open a rift. Now in Rüniverse, you're going to have 3 locations. So you just kind of have to imagine that. Sometimes you could put string to separate them or something, but I don't find that necessary. And each of those locations is going to take turns opening up a rift. So I'm going to start by opening 1 rift by putting 2 cards there. And those represent my mage's bonds to that magical rift that helps them make power. Now I can choose one of my locations to activate. Obviously, this is the only one where anything's going on. So I'm going to choose here and play a mage there. And I'll play Bubble. It doesn't actually matter which one usually. So I'm just going to go ahead and play Bubble. And she's going to be the mage at this rift, guarding it or protecting it or however you want to think of that. And she can be tasked to rotate it 90 degrees in order to represent that she's kind of used up for the turn. And she can create power, which is the energy, the fuel, the money, however you want to think of it. And the amount that she makes is equal to how many rifts I've opened this game. Since you can open up to 3 rifts, at some point she will be tasking for 3 power, but currently I've only opened 1, so she will make 1 power. And I have a card that costs 1 power, so I'm going to have her evoke this card, cast this creature spell, and it costs 1. It is a level 1, which means it costs 1. When it does damage, it does 1 damage, and if it is dealt 1 damage, it is dispelled. It has the boundless ability that it can attack unengaged mages and their creatures, which we'll get into later, but this is gonna enter play exhausted at this location, and that's all she can do. So she'll end her turn by readying all of her cards. Now these are the dream decks I didn't mention. I've left room in the middle for discard piles, so you can kind of just line up your 3 little side stack zones. Also, I did skip a step because we went first. The Thyst player did not get to draw a card to start their turn. Now I'll go ahead and take the Emry player's turn. Now, of course, they would have drawn their 7 already, but since it's just me, I haven't drawn them yet. So let's make sure they have a keepable hand. And they do have 2 mages, which is slightly scary, but technically a keep, so they will keep it. they will open a rift just like purple did. And this time they do get to draw a card. Whenever you draw the first card on your turn, you check it. You don't have to reveal it, but I'm going to reveal it for drama. But you check it, and it is not a mage card. So this is, you might have heard me mentioning the mage's gifts. That's the part where the gift would come into play. If it were a mage card, it would trigger their gift immediately. And hopefully we'll see that come up later. But for now, the Emry player is just going to play a mage. They're going to play Gracilda and then exhaust her or task her for 1 power, just like purple, and evoke a 1-cost card. They've actually got 4 level 1 cards. I think they're going to do the strongest one, which is Wild Call. So this is a spell rather than a creature. It says spell really small at the bottom. It says Emry spell. I don't know if that's legible on camera, but you can tell from the card frame. Because of the bursty card frame, that indicates a spell. The straight across horizontal card frame, that indicates a creature. They're also relics, and then the mages have the curved top and bottom art frame. So Wild Call is going to reveal a random creature from your wild summon deck. So those are tokens that would come with any starter set. On the basic version, their backs are the swarming bugs. So hopefully you don't need both of them at the same time, but there are actually 3 more swarming bugs that you can use as well. But anyway, so I'm going to shuffle up that wild summon deck and just reveal one at random, and that's the one they get to evoke if it is a creature. So there's actually one that is not a creature, and you can tell because A, because of the card frame, but also B, because it says no creature. So there's a 1 in 7 chance that you miss. And the more of these Wild Call effects you include, because this isn't the only card that does that, the more chance, now that this is in play, if we were to use another effect like that, you have greater odds of hitting the no creature and not getting anything. So that slightly balances out the fact that that is a 1-cost card that made a level 3 creature. Its ability is roaming, which means it can move between locations. It's a minor perk. The spell, that now that it's done, can go to their discard pile, and they've got nothing else to do, so they'll ready all their cards and pass back to purple. Purple will open their second rift by putting 2 cards down to demark a second location, and they don't have to play a mage to it right away. We may as well. We'll play Toliand, and she's just a storm mage with a bond gift, but probably not going to matter. Well, I did skip a step, so as purple ended their turn, they could have marked a guard. And that actually leads me to these tokens. So these tokens are fancy acrylic tokens that I had made for myself. The starter decks do come with cardstock tokens for price reasons. I don't want them to be crazy expensive, but I should have set up each location with a dream token. So this is just the Rüniverse R, but it's also just the dream token symbol. So that goes 1 at each location, and that represents that for each location, the mage there is going to have the opportunity to dream once per game. These are flame counters. We might see that come into play. Got some dice. You don't need the dice, but I use them with those flame counters. Some level counters, some keys for an expansion card that might never get to see the light of day, and these shields. So the shields are the thing I forgot. Well, I forgot these two, but at the end of your turn, for each of your locations, you can choose a creature or mage there to guard the other stuff that's there. So as purple ended their turn, they could have had either the Pupil of the Unbound or Bubble guard. They didn't, because they kind of assumed the opponent wouldn't be able to make any attacks on their turn, which was correct. But as green ends their turn, they should decide to guard, and I think they will have the Floral Dancer guard to protect their mage, and we'll see how that goes. And purple's in a slightly awkward position because they have this Uncork the Imagination, this star variant rare we looked at, but they're not going to have a lot of power to work with to try to use it effectively. Otherwise, they just have another mage and 2 level 3 cards. Oh, and I forgot to draw a card for them, so let's do that as well. And this actually is a mage, so this would have happened before they played this mage, but it is the Dispel gift. Ooh, what a gift to get, too. Dispel the highest level enemy creature. So just poof, the Floral Dancer is gone, and because it was a token, it's back in that wild summon stack. And I think instead of Toliand, purple will choose to play Plasmy because they've already revealed that to their opponent. So basically the sequence of that is you would draw the card, you would see that it's a mage, and before you kind of add it to your hand physically, you would then say, look, I got a mage, I'm going to do the gift effect, and now I'm going to add it to my hand, and then proceed with my turn as normal. So now they've revealed that, they'll go ahead and play that as their mage. But, which is great, they got rid of that level 3 creature. I think that does change their plans a bit. So now that purple has opened 2 rifts, each mage can be tasked for 2 power, which means they can have a total of 4, and they are allowed to share it with each other, kind of. So it doesn't create a pool of shared power, but we can do one location at a time. So for example, let's say we're going to resolve Plasmy's location. I'm going to exhaust or task her for 2 power, and then I'm going to call for an assist, and Bubble is going to jump in and give her power to Plasmy. So now Plasmy has 4, but when I go to do Bubble's location, she's already tasked. She's not going to have any power to work with, which is kind of stinky because Plasmy can only afford, or is only going to be able to play something that costs 3. And actually, I'm not going to task Plasmy because there's another way to assist, which is to just discard a mage card from your hand. So you're only going to end up with 3 mages who are kind of the main participants in each game, but the other ones still can do things. For example, they might come out and do gifts, and they're going to be able to be assisting. So I'm going to discard Toliand to assist and generate 2 power, because that's the number of rifts we open this game. So now Plasmy has 4 power, 2 from Bubble, 2 from Toliand, none from herself because I'm going to task her for something else. I'm going to spend 3 of that 4 power on Fire Form. It says you get 2 flame counters. So I'm going to be tracking that with this and this, but the starters come with chipboard counters that you'll be able to track that with. Flame counters just belong to the player, not any particular mage. So the purple player now has 2 flame counters, and they will have at least 2 for the rest of the game. The mage gains the abilities Fire, Battle Mage, Flame, which means they can now Plasmy can attack as though she were a creature, and her level is however many flame counters we have, and before she attacks, we get another one. So I'm going to say that she is going to attack. She's ready, so she's untasked, so she can become tasked to declare an attack. We get another flame counter from the flame attack card. This Fire Form card is attached to Plasmy now, and she's attacking for 3. And there's only one thing to attack, so that's pretty straightforward. That's going to be Griselda. Griselda has no way to defend herself, so she takes damage. She took an amount of damage. It doesn't matter if it was 1 or 10,000 damage. That's going to cause one of her bonds to break, so this card is going to be revealed. It's not a mage. This is a second situation where a mage gift could trigger, but it didn't. So instead, this card is just added to the green player's hand, and that was the attack resolved. Now you've seen one of the green player's bonds break. You can probably predict that over the course of the game, each player is going to have 6 bonds, 2 at each rift. So when all 6 of those are broken, a player will lose. Plasmy's location is done. There's nothing else she can do. She has 1 more power, so technically she could evoke something that costs 1 still. She has that 1 left over. They don't have anything that costs 1. Don't want to play Uncork the Imagination for 0 because of reasons. We could spend this token to dream, but not going to do that because of reasons. So we're going to go to a different location. We'll choose this one next. Again, nothing here. Bubble's already tasked, but her creature can still attack, and that can also attack Griselda. It's only 1, but that's still 1 is enough to break a bond. So Griselda's second bond is broken, and this one is a mage. So his gift gets to occur right away. It's a draw gift, so the green player gets to draw a card. In addition to having Druidess added to their hand, that ends the purple player's turn, so they will ready all their cards and pass. Oh, and guard. So, you know what? I think they're playing pretty aggressively, so they actually want to protect their creature. They don't want their creature to be attacked, so they're going to guard with Bubble. Technically, Plasmy could guard, but there's nothing else here, so she's not guarding anything. Well, now green sure has a lot of cards in hand. We'll start by opening a second rift. This is something you do only 3 times over the course of the game, so Griselda is just out of gifts, or out of bonds. There's still technically a rift open there, there's just no bonds at the rift. Although that doesn't impact her power generation, she will still be able to task for 2 power because 2 rifts. Green will go ahead and play the Druidess that they've already revealed. The most annoying thing is going to be that Fire Form because they get to grow in power every time they attack by getting another fire counter. So next time they attack, it's going to be for 4. So I think green is going to do a similar maneuver to purple in that they're going to share power. So we're going to do a phase, mage phase for Druidess. Griselda is going to give her 2 power. She can still summon creatures and things, which can be relevant. But right now, we're going to try to focus on defending these 2 bonds. Although only 1 creature can guard, so it's not going to be easy. But now he's got 4 power. I'm going to play this Boorish. It costs 2, but it is a level 4 because of the Strength 2 ability, which gives it level +2. So that comes out tasked. And I'm just going to play 2 Suiform Sprouts. So again, the small version costs 1, but they are level 2s because of their strength ability. They get level +1. So now they've got 3 boars, and that is all 4 power. They do have another mage. They could assist again for 2 more power, and they got a couple more small things to play, but then they're not guaranteed to have a 3rd mage on their 3rd turn, which is pretty dangerous. So I think they will have to pass like that. And I'm kind of keeping them clustered in the middle, again, because they are at this location. So I don't want to spread them out and get them confused about being at this or this location. Purple will open their 3rd and final rift and then draw a card, which is not a mage. Yeah, this is an awkward card to get in your booster deck pack, or cards like this that refer to specific mage focuses, but off color, because it doesn't exist. There's no purple mage that has a lizard focus. So this is just going to be a 2-cost level 2 vanilla when played by purple. I think purple will play a mage to that 3rd location. So now they've got 3 mages, each of whom can make 3 power, and they're running out of cards. So it might be almost time to use a dream token to dream and delve into this dream deck here, or play Uncork the Imagination. I'll probably hold off on Uncork the Imagination. Oh, and green should have guarded. So I think they would definitely guard with the big level 4 Boorish. As soon as purple's turn begins, all their guards stop guarding. So guards only last throughout your opponent's turn. So I think I will start with Plasmy here. And she's not going to be evoking anything. She's just going to be a battle mage. So we're just going to have her attack. We'll attack the guard. That's the only eligible thing. Technically, we could attack Griselda, but there'd be no benefit. Can't destroy a mage, and she has no bonds to break. So there's no benefit in that. Before it attacks, Flame Attack will give us a 4th flame counter. So she's now fighting as a level 4 creature. Boorish is also a level 4 creature, which means they both deal 4 to each other. Boorish is going to be dispelled, and Plasmy counts as being dispelled. But because she's not actually a creature, she doesn't leave play, but it does cause her bond to break. So basically she attacked knowing she was going to break her own bond. She wanted to get that Boorish out of the way, and this could trigger a gift, but it did not, although that is a nice card. I think that will be it for Plasmy's turn. We can do either mage next. Let's do Bubble, task her for 3 power, and evoke Spell Sprite, costs 3. After the mage evokes their first spell, each turn gains a Vim, which is like an extra life if it would die. Instead loses one of its Vim. Enters play task, so it's not going to be able to attack. And now there's nothing guarding, so the pupil could attack anything it wants, but these Suiform Sprouts are level 2s, and this is only a level 1. So I think we'll send it directly at Druidus and break a bond. Again, 1 damage to break a bond, and it is another mage. This has the Dispel gift again. Dispel the highest level enemy creature. Plasmy fights as though she were a creature, but she's not actually a creature, so she can't be dispelled. But that will dispel the Spell Sprite, unfortunately, for purple, which they just evoked. So actually it can be a good idea sometimes to do your attacks first, get the potential gifts out of the way, and see how the dust clears before committing things. So that's probably a mistake by purple. Oh, this actually goes to hand. However, that's still a broken bond. And Knack is going to task for 3 power. We're only going to spend 2 of it, but I am going to play... Or am I going to play Implin Chariot? You know what? The Shunt ability is really strong to make an enemy creature stop guarding. And I'm thinking I want to save that. Even though Drive would mean it could attack immediately, I'm going to save it. Instead, I'll just play this basic vanilla Lizard Moat. And pass the turn. Ready all of our cards. Still nobody's dreamed. This has been a very fast game. Usually dreaming starts when people start to run out of cards. So purple is starting to think about wanting to dream with only 2 cards left, but they still had enough action that they didn't need to yet. And then green, obviously, with all their broken bonds, has plenty of cards in hand. And they're feeling a little bit safer because of they got to start their turn with a bond. So they get 2 more bonds at their last rift, draw a card, and there's a mage. Another draw gift, though, so they're just going to have more cards in hand, although you can turn cards in hand into good effect. Now the card they drew was another mage, but it's only the first card you draw on your turn that can trigger a gift, so they don't get to trigger this gift. Although this would have been a nice one because this bond gift lets you actually get a bond back. So they would take this top card of their deck and put it at a location, or rather it would go to Griselda because she's their mage with the fewest bonds. So they could have healed a bit, but they don't get that gift. Now they have 4 mages and 4 medium cards. They're going to play Misora, which might be bad, revealing that you have a bond gift in hand. Makes your opponent feel a little more confident that you're not going to trigger a bond gift, but they wanted the plant focus just in case. Actually, I don't know if they have any cards that trigger off plant, so maybe you don't reveal that. We'll play another growth mage instead, Emry. So that's 3 mages in hand that are kind of useless because they already have all 3 locations with mages at them. But again, these can be discarded to assist for 3 power each. Now that 3 rifts are open, they don't really have the need of that much power with their hand, but that's what dreaming is for. On purple should have declared their guards, but I think they're going to guard with their mages again, playing aggressively and protecting their attackers. And I think green is going to start by dreaming. So they have cards in hand, but they're not thrilled by them. So they want to see what the Dream Delve reveals. So they're going to take their dream token and expend it by flipping it over. They don't have to exhaust the mage or anything, but this is going to be a once per game for this location. The Dream Delve is spent, and this shuffled dream deck, they're going to reveal cards from it until they've revealed 3 rarity pips worth of cards. So first up, we've got 2 rarity pips there, an uncommon, and they get to go again. This is actually one of the basic cards that has no rarity pips, which is nice to see. They get to go again. There's another card, again, another card. So these are kind of weak cards, but it's nice to have them around because you get to see more cards when you're dream delving. Sometimes they're not worth the power to play them, so maybe you'd rather see something just better, but it's nice to have more cards. And then there's a card with a pip, so that's 3 total pips worth. And now all 5 of these are available for this turn only for this mage to evoke. Ooh, and now I regret not playing the plant mage here because they actually evoked this Loquacious Mandrake, which has a plant focus bonus of drawing a card. I think we're going to want to play all these things. We have the mages to assist. That's going to cost 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll just task her for 3. There's no reason not to task your ally mages, and you can always dip into the cards in hand as a last resort once we get to the other mages phases. But that's enough to pay for everything. I'm going to play this Ether Spike first. It's just a spell that hits something for 1, and we'll just take this creature out. Actually, we can't take it out because Bubble is guarding. This counts as an attack, attacks for 1. So we actually have to hit Bubble first. That's what the guard is for. So I guess we do that. So we could attack either Bubble or Knack to break one of their bonds, and then they stop guarding for the turn. We could attack Plasmy for 1, but she actually, it would not break her bond because she's taking damage as a level 4 creature. So unless we were planning to do 3 more damage to her, it wouldn't be hugely beneficial. So I think we'll just hit Bubble for 1 then. Does not trigger a gift. This card goes to our discard pile. So that's why it's important to remember or mark which cards started in your dream deck for when you go on to the next game. The Egg of Distinguished Mediocrity costs 0 to evoke. It's a level 0 creature. And that means it doesn't attack very effectively, but it can guard, and your opponent has to waste an attack burning through it. It has to take at least 1 damage to dispel the egg, even though it's level 0. 4 for the Rhinoceros, 2 for the Loquacious Mandrake, and 2 for Grum. So again, we already saw the Mandrake is basically vanilla because we don't have a plant mage. Grum is actually vanilla, and Rhinoceros has this trample ability that may or may not come up later. So that is 9 power. That is a very satisfactory dreaming from Emry. Moving on to Druidus, I think we will assist. We're going to discard a mage to give him 3 power for the turn. We're going to spend 1 of it to play Growth Spurt, which is a spell. A creature gets level +2 this turn. If it was evoked by a growth mage, which he is, also gets a level +1 counter. We'll choose one of these Suiform Sprouts, so it's permanently +1. With its strength ability, that makes 3, but for the turn, it's going to have another 2, so it's a total of 5, which means it can attack Plasmy and not die. She's only fighting as a level 4, so we'll break that bond. Now, unfortunately, she still has Fire Form on. She's still going to be able to use that for the rest of the game. Her flames can keep getting bigger and bigger, but at least we broke her bond, which we'll have to do if we want to win. And we have to do as much damage as they have flame counters in order to break the bond. So we got that out of the way before she got too big. This brings up a new rule, or not a new rule, but a rule that we haven't had to cover yet, which is the rules of engagement. So you saw Pupil of the Unbound mentioned the rules of engagement that it can ignore them when it attacks. Fortunately, Druidus doesn't have that privilege. He cannot ignore the fact that he has chosen to engage with Plasmy. So whenever you attack, you can choose which, for each of your locations, you can choose which of the enemy locations you're going to be interacting with that turn. But now that he has selected Plasmy, he's had his Suiform Sprout attack her. That's where he's locked in, and this Suiform Sprout has nothing to attack. It could attack Plasmy again, but as we talked about, there's no benefit to that other than it would die. And we don't want our Suiform Sprout to die. It cannot attack Bubble because she's at a different location. It cannot attack Knack or Lizard Moat because they're at different locations. So this technically is not guarding anymore, but that means going for that last Fire Form attack or knocking that last bond off the Fire Form Mage means we're not going to get efficient use out of our attacks. And now Druidus still has 2 more power, so we're going to spend that on a Beetle, which just can't be chosen for opposing spells and effects, and another Suiform Sprout. And now you can see Emry has built up quite a bit of a board. Griselda could still take a turn. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. She's going to spend her counter. I've got 2 mages I can discard for assists, depending on what we see come out of this deck. So let's go for it. So we'll reveal 1 card at a time. Oh, and there's all 3 rarity pips. And that's the only card she's going to get to dream this turn. It's a very powerful spell that gives level +5 to a creature. It's also an attached spell, and it attaches as Vim, which means even though the creature is level 5, if it does still happen to die for some reason, it doesn't die, and instead it loses one of its Vim. So it would shrink back down, but it would still be alive. However, she has nothing to put it on because Griselda has no creatures, and we've got no cards in hand. So that was kind of a mistake, and she has no creatures of her own that she can put it on. She's going to have to end her mage phase, which means this shuffles back into the deck. This dream token is permanently spent, and that's all the green player can do for their turn. They'll ready all their cards and choose how to guard, which is going to be probably just with the Egg of Distinguished Mediocrity, and let's say a Beetle. You know what? Our opponent has a level 2 creature that can easily kill the Beetle, so let's make it one of our level 2 creatures just so they at least have to trade, and they don't have the option of trading with the Pupil. So Purple's got 3 more bonds they need to break. They're pretty far behind on board now. They have the initiative. There's no more rifts to open, so we skip that step. All mages are just making 3 power from now on, and they draw a card for turn, which is a mage. Mary has a basic draw gift, so they're just going to get an extra card. And can they do it? Can they break the puzzle? They really just have to do 3 attacks, or 4 attacks. They have to get through 2 guards and break 3 bonds. So that's 5 total attacks. They have 3. This creature has drive, so that's a 4th attack and drive. Shunt can stop a guard, so it's actually virtually 5 attacks with the Shunt. Knack is no longer guarding. They have to make sure they sort out their rules of engagement. So let's start with Knack, who will task for 3 power. Evoke the Implin Chariot for 2 of that. Creatures enter play task, but the drive ability means it untasks immediately. Then it can attack. Its Shunt ability will stop an enemy creature from guarding, and they can have the attack go directly to Emrya, which will break her bond, and that is not a gift. Then the Lizard Moat can attack also Emrya. Again, rules of engagement mean this Lizard Moat will have to attack something at this location, but nothing's guarding anymore, so happy to go break this bond. And that is a mage, and this is an Emry gift. Creatures controlled by your mage with the most creatures get level +2 until your next turn. Players do not get to make decisions when it is not their turn. There is a tie for number of creatures, so the purple player gets to choose which of the Emry mages, 2 mages that have 4 creatures, benefit from that. So we're going to choose Emrya because we broke her last bond already. So all of Emrya's creatures will get level +2 until the end of the green player's next turn. This card goes to their hand. Knack has 1 more power, so he may as well evoke this star variant Pupil of the Storms. Then we'll go to Plasmy. She will attack, which means she goes up to 5 flame. Getting a level 2 fire form is very strong. Going to be attacking the guard here. It's only level 2, so it is dispelled with no harm coming to her. We'll move on to Bubble, and we'll have this Pupil of the Unbound attack Druidus directly. He's got no guards. Bond is broken, and it is, holy crap. Oh, no, I thought there was a bond gift for a second, but it is another Emry gift, not a bond gift. So purple is the winner. Glad they saved this Implin Chariot. Definitely did the trick. So the game was actually quite close, because if it passed back to green, they definitely would have had the number of creatures to get through maybe a couple guards and break 3 bonds, right? With 7 or 8 creatures, even if purple decided they weren't going to win, so they knocked them down to like 6 creatures or something. I guess the egg can't attack. But really, they just needed 5 creatures, right? They needed to get rid of a guard, a bond, a guard, and 2 bonds. So 5 creatures. If 5 creatures survived, the green player had it. And they actually have a removal spell in hand. The Slimiostasis they've been hanging on to since the beginning could have gotten rid of a creature for temporarily, but they were saving it to be aggressive, and they maybe shouldn't have, because they had another mage to assist for 3 more power, and they could have, after they kind of whiffed on that dream attempt, they could have assisted from hand and played Slimiostasis to just get rid of this lizard moat, for example, just to get the purple player down 1 attack and be a little bit safer. They just didn't want to do it because they knew the lizard moat would come back another turn later, and it felt like a waste, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But anyway, that was Rüniverse. We got to see a pretty powerful rare in play, specifically this fire form. Was that the only rare that actually got played? We saw Oaken Size out of the Green Dream deck, but that one didn't even get played. Green just hit a Broken Bond, which was their Suadoom, but that didn't get played. They have 2 worm forms in their deck they didn't get to use either. Oh, and then purple was holding on to this Uncork the Imagination, but yeah, that was pretty situational. What was their third one again? Oh, the Eldritch Brain, which they also had in hand, I think. Either they just drew that, or that was a Broken Bond or something. Doesn't really fit their aggro theme that they ended up playing with, using just a level 1 creature, and, well, Fire Form did a lot of work. But anyway, thanks for watching. Check out the sale if you're interested. If the sale's over, check out the game if you're interested. I'll admit the game price has been going up to pretty high levels I'm not super comfortable with, but it's not really up to me. I have to set the price higher than the minimum Game Crafter required costs, and I like to make at least a little bit of money on each sale. And I think on each booster deck pack I make under $1. Starter decks I make maybe like a couple dollars, but obviously that's not a number where I'm really in it for the money. I just hope that people who are interested in the game, who think it looks cool, maybe you'd like to play it, or even just collect 1 pack's worth of cards, I'm happy to have given you the opportunity of seeing it and making that decision if you're interested. If you're interested in seeing more Rüniverse on my Rüniverse channel, let me know. But otherwise, I'll probably just bring it out for special occasions. There's so many different games I want to feature. So thanks for watching this far. Subscribe so we can get more subscribers, and bye.